For the sake of easing the concerns of the two people who follow the abominable collection of lore that I call my YouTube channel, no, this isn't the motivational Spyro video I'm working on. This is way too educational to be that. But the process of me capturing footage for that video meant replaying The Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon, a game that I consider one of my guilty pleasures. I like it. I have fond memories of my sister and I playing this game over the times. That doesn't mean it's in any way great or even the least bit polished. This, much like many Spyro games over the years, is littered with bugs, and I'm not just talking about Sparks in this cutscene in the PS2 version. I may have captured this on PCSX too, but believe me, it's like that on real hardware as well. No, there is one character in particular that breaks the game with pretty much every step they take, and that character is Cynder. Cynder is utterly broken. And also, does anybody have the Spiffing Brits contact info? If Cynder's lair is where Hope goes to die, then she is where game balance, and furries thirsting for a dragon mummy to punish them, goes to get annihilated. And if you don't believe me going into this, allow me 3 attempts at convincing you. First up, fear is a death ray if paired up correctly. This one's a very old trick in the book that is my sister and I playing this game. And by very old, I mean somewhere around 2010, if not earlier. In this game, where you play 2 dragons with 4 different elemental abilities each, you can mix and match to create some pretty intense results. One that we found pretty quickly was that the combination of Spyro's electricity and Cynder's fear basically wins you the game. I don't know if this is intentional or not, and I'm not sure what's causing it. All I know is that none of the other element combos I've tried over the years are anywhere near as potent as this. And that's before we even consider the final phase of the Malifaux fight, where you're supposed to hit his force field to charge up Fury energy. Well, I guess you could go and hit it manually? Or you could just have Cynder send homing missiles at it and have each of them count for multiple hits. This gal has homing missiles. So yeah, fear's pretty broken, isn't it? It's only gonna get worse from here. What if I told you Cynder can summon J-Pog twisters at will? So we've already beaten the game to a pulp using the double punch that is electricity and fear, but what if for some reason in this game carrying the Spyro branding, you don't feel like playing a Spyro? Oh, don't you worry. Spyro basically gets more and more optional the further into the game you get. As you collect more and more of these magic power enhancing crystals and face off against tougher and tougher enemies, you might want to consider upgrading Cynder's wind ability. Why is that, I hear? Not only is it a handy way of disposing of enemies in general by discarding them over non-solid ground, a long-standing weakness of enemies in this series, but even that's too much effort when you can just do this. This is broken to the point that towards the end of the game, give Cynder a large enough group of enemies and she can single-handedly refill the whole Fury bar in one go. Which, if you're a good enough player, means that towards the end, you can get into a groove where smaller enemies are hoovered up by Cynder to build the Fury bar, and then larger enemies are dispatched with a quick Fury blast, which in this game has the handy side effect of replenishing your magic bar. It becomes an endless circle of wind, Fury, wind, Fury, wind, Fury, wind, Fury, wind, Fury. So, now that we've beaten the game up and curb-stomped it, you might think that we've gone a little too hard on it. It is, after all, only a piece of software made by hard-working developers under some extreme time and budget constraints. So what if we could save them some time and money by skipping some of the combat? Let me introduce you to Shadow. Shadow is an amazing element in this game. Not only is it useful for certain gates that occasionally block you, but using it also makes you temporarily invincible and basically guarantees a knock-up, which you can then follow up with by grabbing the enemy mid-air and scratching them till they look like bacon strips. But it can do so much more than that. On a few occasions in the level Burned Lands, you'll find yourself impeded by these ambushes set up by the enemy. You're in big trouble. Or are you? Because if you're playing in single player, know the triggering zones and have a good amount of magic left in Cynder, you can just scoot right across it without triggering the attack. Now I have 2 explanations that might explain this. The first is that Cynder, always one to go for the extra style point, can't exo a shadow without this bit of showmanship. Probably the game doesn't want to deal with that in these ambush situations, and the best solution was to just allow her to go through. Either that, or this Spyro branded game didn't think it would ever need to account for Spyro's position when he's not being played. So immediately after discovering this, I obviously looked up speedruns for this game, because of course this game has speedruns, hoping to make some sort of joke about speedrunners speedrunning to this video to use this trick to skip through burnt lands. Only to then realize that I'd looked up speedruns hoping to discover that I'd found an exploit that they needed that wasn't already known to them. Still, the fact that this requires no skill or setup other than having played the rest of the game blows my mind. This is just one of Cynder's things that she can do, and the game can do nothing about it. In conclusion, why would anyone ever use poison?
And when the Dark Master returns, she will concede. No one can resist the temptation, not even the strongest among us.